I have started Just Right Solutions in 2006 as a nonprofit capacity building agency to provide assistance in grantsmanship, so grant writing, grant prospecting, and grants management. Also in communications and marketing, and that's helping nonprofits devise appropriate plans for communication activities as well as publications to support those activities. And finally, the deeper, more technical parts of nonprofit management, which might include comprehensive needs assessments, evaluation planning and outcomes measurement, or program design elements. Integrated grant seeking, it's a somewhat big concept, but I think looking at the big picture in a nonprofit helps us to be more effective grant seekers. How grant writing is a part of fundraising? That's an excellent question. I've worked with many development professionals over the years, and one in particular has said to me, politely but passionately, I don't ever want to touch that. And it is because there is an art and a science to grant seeking. I call it the rabbit hole, the Alice in Wonderland rabbit hole of development, because it is exceptionally technical. It's a gray area. And again, most development professionals are highly skilled and exceptionally talented at raising dollars through private donations, through sponsorships or major gifts, through special events, planned giving, and those other elements of a comprehensive and strategic development plan. But they appropriately include grants as a revenue line item. I don't know any nonprofits really who don't or can't at least consider pursuing grant funding opportunities as a part of a comprehensive fundraising strategy. So when development professionals include grants as a revenue line item, they look to us, to professional grant writers, to fill that niche for them. They'll take care of the rest, or work within their staff to raise dollars through those other activities, special events, and individual donations, online giving, third-party events, etc. But they look to us. We grant writers provide a very specific service that's extremely technical to development professionals to help them meet their goals. Ultimately, of course, help nonprofits meet their revenue projections on an annual basis. So that is how grant writing is a part of the overall fundraising strategy of every nonprofit. Why grant writing is part of communications. This is the other side of the coin. Communication and fundraising are cousins. They work hand in hand. As you can imagine, when we have a fundraising campaign, we certainly want to create new publications to exploit that campaign and to solicit new donors or potential donors for a project. And conversely, when we have great news to share about our nonprofits that could yield unsolicited donations or grants for our organization. So when we engage in communication activities, we are at the same time engaging in fundraising activities, because every time we communicate with our public or our target market, we are providing a cue to action for them to give. So simultaneously, when we submit our grant proposals, we should be communicating internally to our staff, to our board, and perhaps to some constituents. We are going after funding from this foundation for these reasons and this amount. Be aware of it, because there's potential cultivation activities that any number of those people may have the opportunity to engage in that would lead to potentially a higher success rate with a grant. Basically, any communication activity is also a cultivation activity. So if we can make sure that our board members, for instance, are poised to answer questions when foundations have them based on a proposal we've submitted, that just increases the likelihood that we are going to be successful. how is it integrated within fundraising and communications? Well, we can do this relatively simply, actually. You don't have to create whole new plans to do integrated grant seeking. And I have a very good example of a local organization who has used integrated grant seeking to yield some significant dollars and build new programs. There's a small organization in Toledo, Ohio called the International Boxing Club, also called the Institute for Building Careers. And they provide services in the inner city to help all kids, mainly at-risk youth who have previous gang involvement, become champions in life. And we were able to secure a couple of grants from our Toledo Community Foundation and also the Toledo Rotary Foundation to support a new vocational training center. This was a couple years ago. Through those grants, we, when we received those awards, we did press releases. And those press releases yielded additional campaign dollars, donations that we didn't ask for and we didn't anticipate. Unsolicited came in the mail. The Toledo Rotary Foundation grant in particular yielded a $10,000 donation from an anonymous source. So by doing something as simple as a press release, based on a grant award, you may, I've been successful with getting additional dollars for that program. It's also recognized, doing that, using communications to your benefit, is recognized as a best practice among foundations. Foundations do not want to be the only people at the table supporting your programs, and they certainly don't want to support programs forever. So they encourage us as nonprofit leaders or as grant writers to spread the good word about their awards in hopes that it does generate additional funding, such as in the example I just cited for International Boxing Club. There are any number of simple integration methods. Social media is perfect, especially for a group like IBC who has lots of kids. They have tons of youth who, as you imagine, are on Facebook or other social media sites all day long anyways. So why not get them involved in spreading the good word and sharing news about grant awards with their friends and family? You should also, I should say, put every grant maker you're soliciting in the next year on your mailing list. We don't want to make the only time we talk to foundations is when we ask them for money, because one of the cardinal rules of cultivating grant makers is that we never treat them like checkbooks. So by only talking to them when we need money, we're treating them like checkbooks. So let's flip that on its head and put them on our mailing list, invite them to our events, make sure they have copies of our newsletter, and engage with them to build a lasting relationship. That is how you win grants over the long term and secure sustainable support for your programs.